Namah Shriyatiraja Vivekananda Suraye Satchit Sukha Swarupaya Swamine Tapaharine Swamine Tapaharine.
So, Namaste, we will start now. So, in the previous class, we read the 57th verse. Vayu Pittam Kaphaschokta Shariro Dosha Sangraha Manasa Punaruddishto Rajascha Tamaevacha. And we concluded with the understanding that the body and mind is like a vehicle for the journey and the evolution of the self, and that we can compare Vata, Pitta and Kapha to the whole engine mechanics of the body. And you know that Sattva, Rajas, Tamas has the accelerator, brake and clutch system of a car. Just for convenience, it helps us to know that these are the tools at our disposal using which we can be in control of our body and mind as we move forward in the journey of life. So let us move forward. How do we treat? So it has been mentioned that there are physical and mental illnesses caused by the tridoshas, which mainly affect the body, and the gunas of the mind, doshas of the mind, which affect the mind. So how do we treat them? Prashamyatyaushadhai purvo daivayukti vyapashrayai Manaso jnana vijnana dhairya smriti samadhibhi. So prashamyatya aushadhai purvaha. Purva iti shariraha. Dosha grahanena tajjanya vyadhayopi grihyande. Vikrita doshad ananyatvad vyadhinam. Daivam adrishtam tadashritya yad vyadhi pratikaram karodi tad daiva vyapashrayam बलिमंगलादि एतच्च प्रथममुक्तं सद्यो अक्लेशेन च व्याधि प्रशमगत्वात् युक्तिः योजना शरीरभेषजयोर् हितो यो योगस्ततपेक्षं संशोधन संशमनादि युक्ति व्यपाश्रय मुच्यते. So bodily, this is a very important concept. Oh, sorry, I did not share screen. Are you able to see now? प्रशाम्यत्यौषधै पूर्वो दैवयुक्तिव्यपाश्रयैः मानसो ज्ञानविज्ञानधैर्यस्मृतिसमाधिभिः. So Daiva Vyapashraya, Daivam Vyapashritya Kriyate Chikitsa, Daiva Vyapashraya Chikitsa, Yuktim Ashritayat Kriyate Chikitsa Tad Yukti Vyapashraya Chikitsa. So Daivam is Adrishtam. In many ways we explain Daivam. Adrishtam or Purva Janma Kritam Karma Daivam Paurusha Maihikam. So it is important to understand a little bit about this Daivam again. This comes again and again in Ayurveda. It's a very unique perspective because Ayurveda accepts the Paraloka. Because from Ayurvedic point of view, there is no meaning in life if there is no Paraloka. If everything ends in this Ihaloka, then life tends to become very materialistic and very selfish. Is it not? See, we are today talking about peace, goodness. So our theory of karma is based also on the search for meaning of life, meaning in life. If my life is going to end, so we had that perspective also in our tradition, the Charvaka Darshanam. Charu Vachaha. Pleasing words, looks very interesting, very attractive, what they say. Yavat Jived, Sukham Jived, Ranam Krutva,Ghridam Pived, Basmi Bhudasya Dehasya, Punaragamanam Kutaha. In Charvakas also, there are two types of Charvakas, Shikshita Charvakas and Ashikshita Charvakas. Shikshita Charvakas tend to be very, very brutal in their approach, very, what you can say, pragmatic. They are only concerned about here and now. So when we are told that life is short, make merry, then the whole world, becomes engaged in this pursuit of selfish pleasure. On the other hand, the Astika Darshana. So in Indian tradition, Astika and Nastika Darshanas are not atheistic or theistic. We were actually much more practical. We said that there is no point in debating whether God exists or not. Actually, what we should debate is whether we will exist after death or not. See, it's a very practical approach. Asti paraloka iti yesham matir sa astikaha. Nasti paraloka iti yesham matir sa astikaha. That is why later it came, because Vedas accept the paralokam, Astikas came to be called as those who accept Vedas. Actually, accepting Veda means both are synonymous. Both are synonymous. We never said God was not brought into this debate. We said let God not be troubled by us, our human debates. God is in his own place. Or when we exist only, when Atman is there only, everything matters. God also matters. If we are going to disappear with our death, what is the use of God? So they were very practical. So Asti Paraloka. And Veda is, that is why Tasya Ayusha Punyatamo Vedo Veda Vidam Mada Vakshadeyan Manushyanam Lokayor Uphayor Hidam. That today, in the name of making Ayurveda scientific, we are trying to remove all these things from Ayurvedic thought process. That is one point I want to say, but to make Ayurveda evidence-based medicine, let us not strip it of its profound philosophy. Ayurveda's Vedatvam is because of its vision of the Paralokam. And when the Paraloka is accepted, then disease causation is understood in a more complex manner. What we call today as susceptibility to a disease, risk factor of a disease, all these things are traced to Daivam. Again, in the name of scientific medicine, we are trying to say this is nothing but genetics or heredity. No, it is not. Ayurveda goes beyond genetics, beyond heredity to the concept of Daivam, Purva Janma Kritam Karma. So it is a bit important to understand. If it is not explained clearly, then it will look very childish and So how can this Daivam be a cause of disease? When Daivam is the cause of, so Vagbhada in his Ashtanga very clearly says, Purvaparadhaja kaschit drishtaparadhaja tat sankarad bhavatyanyo vyadhirevam trithasmataha. Some diseases are caused by Purvaparadhaja. By that, even in our life, we do not know all the causes that may have caused a disease or a problem for us. So Purva Paradhaja, anything that is caused by Adrishta, we don't remember it, but there is a cause. As Krishna says, Bahuni me vyatitani janmani tavacha Arjuna tanyaham vetha sarvani natvam vetha parantava. So we have all gone through many births. I remember all of them. You do not. That is a difference. So we may not remember everything that happened in our life. Therefore, we are not able to make that cause and effect relationship. Now the question is, how can a previous experience or a previous action lead? How can that memory be? Where is it transmitted? This is where there is a big question and doubt, isn't it? Our bodies disintegrate. They are supposed to embody new, physical locations. So how is this memory carried from one birth to the other? This is where Ayurveda and also Vedanta all say that it is carried from one body to other in a subtle form. Bhudais chaturbhis sahvidaisu sukshmair manojavam deham upaiti deha. Shuddhe shukrartave sattva karma klesha choditaha. Even birth is a result of karma klesha, previous karma. So that is a very clear concept. If you want to accept Ayurveda, we have to accept this philosophy. Or we are just adjusting Ayurvedic theory to modern science. So this is a very central part of the Ayurvedic understanding of disease. That is why he says here, Prashamatya Aushadhai Purvo Daiva Yukti Vyapashray. Ayurveda was one of the earliest medical systems to talk about rational medicine, Yukti Vyapashray Chikitsa. But it never gave up Deva Vyapashray Chikitsa. In Greek medicine, what has happened is there was removing all rituals. Greek medicine became rational medicine. In Ayurveda, Daiva Vyapashram is also rational. It is not irrational medicine. It is also rational. So when do we identify a disease as Daiva Vyapashrayam? When you have sometimes what happens is you don't know the cause. Without a cause, somebody gets a disease. Now this is a clear indication. So you can find in your clinical practice, this is how I'm identifying or trying to classify the Vyapashraya Chikitsa. When you take history, there's something called intake. You take history of the patient's illness. So in some cases, you can see the patient was riding a bicycle or in a scooter and was riding on a typical Indian road, bumpy road. So by doing that over a long period of time, he gets cervical injury. There is cervical spondylosis. This is drishta parathaja. We know the reason. We are able to easily trace it. Right? Then another patient comes to you who comes with some deadly cancer. And if you ask him, how have you living your life? Oh, he goes to gym every day. He's not smoking, not taking any alcohol. I have encountered so many such patients. Absolutely no problem we can find. Very devout, very religious, everything perfect. But he has got a deadly cancer. Another person comes who has been chewing betel leaves and tobacco a lot, and then he gets oral cancer. What would that be, is it Drishtaparathaja or Purvaparatha? So every case that you see, we have to differentiate into whether it is Drishtaparathaja or Purvaparatha. So I'm just trying to explain this so that you can relate it to what you see in your regular practice. It doesn't require big tests or anything to understand. A very careful history taking will tell us whether Daiva is involved in the disease or not. So a person who has developed liver disease, liver cancer. I'm giving you an example. I want a response from you. Hepatocellular carcinoma, which is very, very bad prognosis. People don't live long once you are diagnosed with HCC. And there's not much treatment available in modern medicine. People die very quickly. Now you are finding a person with HCC in your clinic and he is not an alcoholic. Would you immediately conclude that this is Drishtaparathaja or Purvaparathaja? How can you quickly conclude? That's why I asked.
Because in this life, he is not doing any he is following all the things correctly.
No. I
I
only said that he is not drinking alcohol. Would you think of any other reason? So you need to know all the factors. I'm only telling now, alcohol he was not drinking. What else will you ask for to find out? We need to ask history very, very carefully to distinguish whether it is Daiva Vyapasraya or, whether it is Purvaparathaja or Drishtaparathaja. Tatsangarat bhavatyanyo vyadhirevam tridha smrita. Some diseases are a combination of Purvaparathaja and Drishtaparathaja. Three categories are there. First and foremost, when you meet a patient, you have to distinguish this. If it is the Purvaparathaja or it is a Sankara Vyadhi, without doing Deva Vyapasraya Chilsa, you will not get much.
Arun G. RAV.
Just 1 second. Sorry. No, it doesn't always have to be habit. Do you know what are the other factors for hepatocellular carcinoma? I'm just trying to bring in that precision thinking. That's very important. People, you will immediately go to an astrologer and ask whether it is. Now, most astrologers may want to do some Deva Vyapasraya Chilsa, so they will say it is Deva. Unless you get a good, most of the time you don't even need to go to an astrologer. If you take the history very carefully, what else could be a fatty liver? Very good. So you have to check that. He may not be an alcoholic, but he may have fatty liver, and that may later lead to cirrhosis and hepatocellular carcinoma. Fatty liver is a risk factor for HCC. What else? Still not enough. Liver function test, that is a test to know. What is, and this is very, very important. Many innocent people may get this problem and then they may become a victim of liver cancer.
Sir, jaundice.
More specifically, many types of jaundice are there. A very big risk factor for liver cancer, hepatitis B and C. Hepatitis B and C. If once you get that, then there is a big chance that hepatitis, yes. So you have to rule out all these things. If there is a clear history of a cause that is responsible for that present condition, then we can say it is Purvaparathaja, and then you have to do Yukti Vyapasraya. If you cannot find any cause and then the disease has come, then you can be sure that it is Is that clear? So yatha nidanam doshottha karma jo hetu bhirvina. Yatha nidanam doshotha. So according to the causative factor, the doshaja disease will come. There will be a clear causative factor. There was an exposure, then there is a disease. Yep, that is what. Namaskar Swamiji. Purvaparathaja vyadhi, we advise Daiva Vyapashraya Chikitsa. Bali Mangala Homadi, Dana, and all those things. So in diagnosis, we are supposed to distinguish between Purvaparathaja, Drashtaparathaja, and Sankaraja. Combination of Purvaparatha and Drashtaparatha. So only by accurate history taking, we can judge whether it is Purvaparathaja or Drashtaparathaja. If it is Purvaparathaja, Drashtaparathaja, you need Yukti Vyapashraya in all diseases. But in Purvaparathaja, you will also have to add appropriately Daiva Vyapashraya Chikitsa. That is how Ayurveda deals with Purvaparathaja Vyadhi. Prashamitya Aushadhai Purvo Daiva Yukti Vyapashraya. Karmaja Vyadhi. So how do we know if a disease is dosha karmaja? Maharambho alpake hedau. Atango dosha karmaja. Maharambha alpe hedau maharambha. So if there is if the disease is according to the intensity of the cause, then it is a purely drishtaparathaja or doshaja vyadhi. If a disease happens without any cause, without any apparent cause, then it is karmaja vyadhi. If a disease happens with alpa hetu, you get a severe disease. Somebody smoked just for some time, little time, and he gets severe bronchitis, or he gets, a very severe disease, which should not have happened because he didn't smoke really that much. Maharambho alpake hetau atango dosha karmaja. So this is how, by taking clear history, we can distinguish between Purvaparathaja kaschit drishtaparathaja tat sangarat bhavatyanyo vyadhirevam tritha smrtaha. So how does doshaja vyadhi get cured? Vipaksha shilanat purvaha. Karmaja karma sanshayat. Gachyati ubhaya janmatu dosha karma kshayat kshaya. Ubhaya janmaja vyadhi requires both yukti vyapashraya and deva vyapashraya chikitsa. Dosha kshaya and karma kshaya both are required. So this is the treatment principle. That is why Charaka here says, Prashamyatya aushadhai purvo daiva yukti vyapashrayai. So what is this daivam and how does it affect us? So according to Ayurveda, we create a karma when that, according to Ayurveda, according to Bhagavad Gita, it's all, whenever we do a karma, yajnarthat karmanonyatra lokoyam karma bandhana. If our action is not made into a yajna, then we are karma bandhita. So buddhya yukto jahadihu ubhe sukrita dushkrite. So that we have to be very, very careful to make sure our every action, every breath is a yajna. Yajna means giving more than you take, and take only what remains after giving. Take what remains after giving. That is yajna. That is why we say yajna shishtasina sando muchyande sarva kilpishai. If our actions are not yajna, and this yajna is basically the giving up of our ego. It is basically the giving up of our ego. There is no bigger yajna than giving up of our ego. That is why Krishna says, Yajnanam japa yajnosmi. What is japa? Jakaro janma vicheta pakaro papanashana. So jakara janma vicheta. The janma of a thought in the mind is eliminated, and pakaro, in that way, papanashanatu. That thought of ahankara is not allowed to arise in our mind. A constant remembrance of the Supreme Self. We are annihilating our existence, our identity. That is japa yajna. That is why Krishna says, because it is not just by action, it is by elimination of ahankara, that any action that you do without ahankara. That's why Krishna also says, nirmamo nirahankara. Bhaktiman me priyo naraha. So that is the problem. That ego, that self-identity with the body is the root cause. That is what is preventing us from making the yajna. This is why the Daksha's Yaga, have you heard of Daksha's Yaga? In Ayurveda, the first disease, the Dakshabhamana Samkruddha Rudrodhva Nayanodbhava. Dakshabhamana Samkruddha Rudrodhva Nayanodbhava. Jara. Disease manifests because of Yajna Bhanga. That is what Ayurveda says. So when Daksha was doing his Yajna, he insulted Shiva. Shiva is the Adhyaksha of all Yajnas. So Ayurveda says all diseases originated because of this Yajna Bhanga, which means Pratnyabarada, which means our action out of ego. So what we have to do is that whatever we do for our happiness should not, that is Yajna. It is not always giving, means it is also an attitude. Now everybody may not have enough to give to everybody. But what becomes a yajna is taking care that what I do, animals are also born to exhaust their karmas. They are Tiryakunis. So that is again another concept. So why some animals, when their karma is exhausted, they will die. Today they may die, under a car or some way they will die. Their karma gets exhausted. Animals cannot do new karma. They cannot create new karma, but they come with past karma. That is why they suffer. Some animals, we don't know that Gahana Karmano Gatihi. It is what Krishna says, Gahana Karmano Gati. With our intelligence, we cannot trace this whole cause and chain effect of karmas. But animals don't they never come with a clean slate. Many come with karma. Just yesterday, I saw a dog which had a very severe wound on its neck. Just walking in the whole sun. I even felt at one moment whether we should go and give him some treatment, but it just ran away. I was also thinking the same thing. Now, how is it responsible for its wounds? It has no doctor to go to. It has to suffer that whole process. If somebody, feels some compassion and takes them to the veterinary doctor, may get a fresh leash of life. So, in my observation, many animals seem to have karma, but the only thing is, in animal life, you can only exhaust your karma. You cannot create new karma. Only in Manusham Janmam, because Kartum Akartum Anyatha Kartum Shakyate. Only in Manusha Sharira we have the freedom of choice. We can, by Purushakara, we can overcome our karma. That is why Durlabham Trayame Vedat Daivanugraha Karakam Manushyatvam Mumukshvatvam Mahapurusha Samshraya. Shankaracharya has mentioned in Viveka Chudamani, these three things are extremely rare. Manushyatvam. And also in Karma Bhumi, Bharata is said to be Karma Bhumi. Many of the other nations are like Bhoga Bhumi. That is why if you go outside to very developed countries, I don't think from spiritual point of view, this classification, developed nations, developing nations, and undeveloped nations has no meaning. Because the biggest spiritual development may happen in countries like India, where we see life in all its true colors. India is a nation for spiritual development. It is not developing or underdeveloped or developed nation. A developed nation is, today's definition is like a bhoga bhumi. You just go there to enjoy. When Kshine Punye Martya Logam Vishanti. When that punya is over, you will come back to Martya Loka. So this is our vision, that what you do should not run into conflict with another person's, not only another person's happiness, but another person's spiritual growth also. I am no guru or I am no master to give an answer for such a question. Is the suffering of passengers in Odisha train accident daiva? As I told, Gahana Karmano Gatihi. It is always, most of the things that we are experiencing, what I have analyzed and understood, is a combination of Daiva and Purushakara. Now we are learning what was the problem. The ministers are saying, because I followed it up very carefully. I also wanted to know, I was asking the same question. Why so many people died? It was very disturbing. So I was reading and trying to understand how it happened. India is supposed to have the Kavach system which could have prevented. It is not installed in that corridor. Now the latest finding, the ministers are saying we have found the culprit, but they have not revealed who it is, right? See, all situations in life you can analyze very carefully in the eye of Ayurveda. So here it may have been a sabotage. We don't know until because after the derailment, there has not been any head-on collision. That is what the latest finding is. There was no head-to-head collision. The Coromandel Express derailed to both tracks. And on one track, it hit the goods train, and the other track, the other Yeshwantpur Express that was coming. So in the central track, the bogies fell to either sides. So why did that train derail? Did somebody sabotage it? Then it is a Purushakara. It is an act of human. It's not an act of God. If it happened accidentally, you can still argue that there was wear and tear in the tracks, and we could have actually, so most of the time it is a combination of Daiva and Purushakara. It's very difficult to separate. So what I have understood, that all human consequences is a combination of Daiva and Purushakara. And Ayurveda says the more you improve your Purushakara, the more you can overcome Daivam. That is how we must think, and not allow Daivam to overpower us. So anticipate. So we have to do our actions with utmost Shraddha. Shraddha hi Jagatam Dhatri. Utmost Shraddha. Shraddha means spiritual Shraddha. Means that we're giving utmost care. My breath shouldn't hurt another person. Hurt in the sense not superficially. It should not affect them spiritually. Not affect another person spiritually. So sometimes you may have to, like suppose if you are a doctor, you have to, cut a person's hand to save him. He may be in pain and cry, but that is not, you are actually doing him hitam. So we have to be a hitakari. That is yajna. Doing hita. Sarva bhuta hitaishana. Do you remember this word? Sarva bhuta hitaishana. Where was it discussed? Did we discuss in our Caraka-Saṁhitā class? Does anyone remember?
We heard, sir.
Yeah. It was there in the beginning.
Yes, sir.
Sarva bhuta hitaishana. Now in Bhagavad Gita, also similar words are Sarva bhuta hite rataha. This is from Bhagavad Gita. Sarva bhuta hite rataha. Rataha means my goal, the moment I wake up and start breathing and living in the world, my goal is Sarva bhuta hita. This is Arsha Samskriti. This is Sanatana Dharma. Breathing for the world. Sarva bhuta hite rataha. That is the yajna. And if you are living like that, muchyande sarva kilbishai. There is no karma. Any other action is going to create karma. Whatever way you dress up, whatever way you speak, there is no use. It is internal. You can make up so many, wear so many masks, do so many tricks in the world. You may be able to trick people around. We may be able to do that. Did someone say something? Somebody ask any question? Okay, I think that must have been a mic malfunction. So is this clear, the concept of Sarva Bhuta Hite Rataha? So that is Daiva. So why are we getting, see, the Daiva, the Vyadhi that comes through Daivam is only to put a break. It is only a pinch to expand our consciousness. It is not punishment. It is a friction that happens when we go against the rhythm of nature. It's like a friction, and then you will rub in the wrong place, and in the process you will get hurt. You will keep getting into circumstances which will. So what karma theory says is that if you are the killer, then you will have to experience what it is to be killed. You have to identify with the whole. If there is some event happening in front of us, and you are watching it only from one viewpoint, then you have to experience that event in the viewpoint of all the others till your karma gets completed. So if you can have empathy, then there is no karma, because I identify with the killer, the killed, the observer. I immediately identify with everyone there. I get a total experience. Then karma cannot affect me. Yes, Bhudeshu Anukrosham is there. Sarva Bhuta Hitaishana is also there. Then Sarva Bhudanu Kampaya is there. Te prapnuvanti mameva sarva bhuta hite rata. This is from Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says, those who live with Sarva Bhuta Hite Rataha, they prapnuvanti mameva, they will surely reach me. So is this clear, the concept of yajna? Yajna means taking life very seriously, doing every action with care, that you don't hurt anybody around us, or our happiness should not become a block for another person's happiness. We have to evolve together spiritually. Everybody has to see, every moment nature is creating circumstances for the whole of creation to evolve spiritually. Human interference slows this process. So nature is it's like a garden. Many seeds are sown, and some seeds are grown into a flower, into a tree, into a plant. Others are just sprouting. That is the only difference. Samoham sarva bhuteshu name dveshyosti na priyaha. Everybody has to get into that higher state of consciousness. So nature is facilitating everyone. It's only a matter of time before everybody will mature. So the best way we can live is not to interfere in this process, but to be part of that facilitation. Live and let live, as they say. Grow and let grow. So we cannot grow so fast. If we try to grow fast, too much fast, then it is like being an asura. It's like a cancer cell. Everybody has to grow in a balance. So everything takes its own time. This is the wheel of dharma, which Buddha wanted to set into motion. Said, I have come to push this wheel of dharma, so that the whole of creation will evolve. Because I am one with creation. There is only one self. So when everybody evolves, I am also evolving myself. So that oneness with the universe is the basis of no karma. So you can see here that Ayurveda is a spiritual science of disease. Whereas all those things are there. Today, by making it scientific, we are missing these deeper philosophies of Ayurveda. The best vaccine against all disease is this spiritual awakening, this clarity of our mind, this awakening of prajna. So that is why Ayurveda says that we need both Daiva Vyapashraya and Yukti Vyapashraya. Daiva Vyapashraya is not ritualistic or based on superstition or no. It is also rational. All Ayurvedic treatment is rational treatment only. We cannot say Yukti Vyapashraya is rational and Daiva Vyapashraya is religious. I am not in favor of that translation. Then comes Manasaha. Manaso Jnana Vijnana Dhairya Smriti Samadhi. Manasa Vyadhis happen, are because there are Trivitha Dukkhas, right? Adhyatmam. Manasa Vyadhis are coming from deep inside. So by Jnana, Vijnana, Dhairyam, Smriti and Samadhi. So Jnanam is Adhyatma Jnanam. Vijnanam is Shastra Jnana. So we need both. Jnana Vijnana Triptatma. Jnanam Vijnana Sahitam. So these are very, both Jnana and Vijnana are needed to live in this world. You need spiritual knowledge and you also need worldly knowledge. So mind becomes stronger with knowledge only. If you keep nurturing emotions, then mind will become weaker and weaker. You become an emotional, volatile being. So Ayurveda says, Manaso, Jnana, Vijnana, Dhairya. Dhairya, I think I explained earlier. Does anybody remember what is the derivation of Dhairya?
धी शक्ति
धारा धारा
धी बुद्धि बुद्धि
धी
यस्य अस्ति स धीरः तस्य भावः धैर्यम्
Dhiyam remate iti also dhira. One who rejoices in the intellect, or one who consults his intellect before taking a decision. He is a dhira. He is a dhira. Tasya bhavo dhairya. So always consult your intellect before taking a decision. And connect that intellect to the Supreme. Yes, Narendranath Thakurji. Your hand is up.
patience, dhairya. Hello,
Dhairya is courage.
courage. Oh,
Courage, what is read? Courage means to consult your intellect when something is happening and you have an urge to do something. That is when you should have the courage. You must hold yourself and say, no, I'm going to consult my intelligence and then only take an action. That is what requires the greatest courage. If when you get angry, slapping somebody is not a matter of courage. Anybody will do that. That's not a big deal. Tyage Kshama Shaktau. This is what the Dilipa kings, Raghuvamsha kings, no? Tyage Maunam. Kshama Shaktau. Jnane Maunam. Kshama Shaktau. Tyage Shlakha Viparyaya. So they were
गुणानुबन्धित्वात् तस्य सप्रसवा एव. I think this-
exactly. This is from Raghuvamsha. Gunanubandhitvad tasya saprasavaiva. So jnane maunam. Though they are very knowledgeable, they are very quiet. They don't display their knowledge. Until you have a deeper engagement of discussion with them, you won't even realize they have so much knowledge. In day-to-day life, they are living very normally. They are not broadcasting their knowledge. Unless there is an occasion for them to discuss, they don't display their knowledge. They don't try to claim their knowledge. Jnane maunam. Kshama shaktau. They are very, very powerful. If they want, they can destroy anybody in a moment, but then they exercise great patience. They forgive, even though they can eliminate in no time. That is the power. Kshama Shakto. Tyage Shlakha Vipareya. When they do some good deed, they don't boast about it. Gunaha Gunanubandhitvad. So one guna is followed by another guna. It's as if one guna is giving birth to other gunas. This is how those kings were. These are all ideal personalities. So, see, today we are not studying these kavyas. When I studied Ayurveda in a Gurukula, we had to study Raghuvamsha, we had to study Kirata Arjuniyam, we had to study Shishupalavatha, we had to study Champu Ramayana, we had to study Jivanandan, and we had to study also Abhijnana Shakuntala. So many things we had to study, and we got exposed to the culture of India. For these kavyas represent the culture of India, the Samskriti, which is very universal. So that is what we mean by dhairyam here, that using your intelligence in the face of all adversity and taking the best informed decision. Then without buddhi, you cannot follow dharma. Smriti, anubhudhartha smaranam. Actually, here smriti means able to remember what should be remembered. Our problem is we forget what we should remember and remember what we should forget. So here smriti means smritva swabhavam bhavanam smaran bandhad vimuchyate. What we should remember is our mortality. What we should remember is the ultimate reality of the self. No, opposite of bhaya is nirbhaya, abhaya. So that is why abhaya mudra. It is lack of fear. Dhairya will make you nirbhaya. But dhairya itself is not just the opposite of fear. If you have dhairya, if you are a dhira, then you can overcome bhaya. Opposite of bhaya, we have words like nirbhayam, abhayam. That is why abhaya mudra. All the gods are in showing that abhaya mudra. No, don't fear. Do not fear. So abhayam also comes from dhairyam, but they are not exactly opposites. That is a problem with the translation. If you translate dhairyam as courage, we lose the deeper meaning of the word dhairyam. Dhairyam is a very powerful word. So manaso jnana vijnana dhairya smriti samadhibhi. Samadhi means Vishayabhyo nivartya atmani manaso niyamanam. You have to practice samadhi, means take your mind away from the sense objects and keep practicing to place it inside. This is the state of swasthya. It has to be practiced. It will not otherwise. Initially, it has to be practiced. It won't come spontaneously. Nayamatma pravachanena labhyo na bahuna shrutena. Yamai vesha vrunute tena salabhya. So, by a lot of practice, eventually you have to create the situation where the mind dissolves or rests in yourself. So that is what samadhi is not simply closing our eyes, because if we close our eyes and start watching sensual movies in our mind, it is of no use. When we close our eyes, our old tapes will start running, and it is not samadhi but just the opposite. So it is vishayebhyo nivartya. If you can withdraw the mind from the sense objects, either external sense objects or the memories of the external sense objects, then you are in a state of samadhi. Is that clear? So then we come to, so this is the understanding. So this chikitsa is called a sattva avajayaha. Sattvasya avajayaha. Being in control of your mind. So this is how Ayurveda tells us: first, take care of your physical body, then clean your karma, and then get control of your mind. Then you can steer the life in a new direction, the path of freedom, which is a privilege for human life. So Ayurveda is a clarion call for us to follow this path. Remove the illness of the body, because after a while, once the body serves its purpose, then you don't have to be worried about physical illness. The body will perish anyway. The body is only a tool to liberate your mind. So preserve the body, kill the mind, and find the self. This is the mantra. Preserve your body, because without the body, you cannot do the karma to cleanse your mind. So using your body, you dissolve your mind, and then you can find yourself. So do whatever you can with your body. That is why Sharira Madhyam Khalu Dharma Sadhanam it is mentioned. Sarvamanyat Parityajya Shariram Anupale. That's what Charaka says. Sharirasya Pranashetu Sarvameva Vinashyati. So the body has to be protected. That is why Ayurveda is there. But Ayurveda is for spiritual development and growth. It is not for just curing disease. So today people who come to Ayurveda to only cure disease may not find it fulfilling all their needs. For a spiritual aspirant, Ayurveda is a complete science because it tells you what is the purpose of our body, what is the purpose of our mind, and how to use this, that you get the highest goals of life. So having understood that, so you can see here every verse here and there, our attention is going to both the worlds. Have you noticed that? Sometimes it's the physical, sometimes it is the world of karma, sometimes it is the mind. It is shifting between all these three. Ayurveda never loses sight of all the three domains of human pain and sorrow and happiness. Trividham dukkham. Adhyatmikam, Adhidaivikam, and Adhibhaudikam. So you can see the text is continuously shifting. From Adhyatma plane, it will move to Adhibhaudika, then it will go to Adhidaivika. Now we are coming back again to the Adhibhaudika. Rukshashito lakus sukshmas chalotha vishadakhara viparita gunair dravyair marudasam pasyamyati. So now we are looking at a Adhibhaudika dukkham. When the doshas are disturbed, our body will be in pain. If our body is in pain, our mind will be weak. If our mind is weak, then we lose ourselves. This is the problem. So keep your body safe. Make sure Vata. I hope you remember the beautiful words of Vata. Sarvarthanarthakarane vishwasya ekakaranam adushta dushta pavana sharirasya visheshada savishwakarma vishwatma vishwarupa prajapati srashta dhata vibhur vishnu mrityur. What was that? Samharta mrityurantaka. Abhijit Sinha ji, I didn't understand your question.
Science only, sir, I just wanted to mean science only deals with the material side, but this Ayurveda goes beyond that, and it is on both the sides.
Both. Ayurveda.
Both the world. So it goes beyond science. That's why.
Yes, Ayurveda does not deny science. It accepts science, but says we have to go beyond that also. For life to be complete, for us to get complete health, we have to embrace what is beyond science. Otherwise, today we live a longer life, prolonging death rather than prolonging life, removing physical illness and becoming mentally disturbed. All this is what is happening today. There is some incompleteness. So Ayurveda gives us that path in which we can embrace life in its totality. Embracing life in totality is Ayurveda. So all the three, you can see it's always discussing. It never loses sight of Atman, Manas, Sharir, all the three together. The beginning itself we discussed, we have to carry all three together and give attention to all the three all the time. The spiritual, the mental, and the physical. And that's how Ayurveda moves forward. So tomorrow we'll discuss about the Tridoshas. We are coming down again to the ground. So you can imagine yourself in this course going in a lift. First floor, second floor, third floor, again coming to the ground floor, again going to the third floor, then stopping in the second floor. So that is how Caraka-Saṁhitā is taking us, going up and down. After a little discussion on the body, he will take us to the self, so that we don't forget about it. Then he will bring us to the level of the mind, again to the body. And then he tells us, embrace life in totality. So then, with that we conclude today's session. And we'll see you tomorrow. Namaste.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः। रामकृष्णाय ते नमः।